I recently made a video called WoW Zones I'd Visit and Avoid in Real Life, where I went through all the WoW zones and I ranked them based on whether I would go there in real life or whether I would avoid them in real life. And so that got me thinking. I was like, a lot of these zones, I'm kind of thinking like, would I get killed here, right? Is it easy to, just kind of chill out and not get attacked? Because pretty much everywhere you go in World of Warcraft, there's going to be some form of danger, right? And so that got me thinking, how long would it take you to die in each zone? Right? So if you got randomly dropped in a zone, how long could you live in that zone before you would eventually just get killed, right? In real life. So you yourself are transported to this zone. And I guess I would say you get transported onto a road, okay? Just the road you're transported on is safe for the moment, but you have to walk a little bit to get to like a major town where there's like a flight point or whatever it might be. So, maybe not the exact entrance of the zone, definitely not like right in the city, but just like somewhere near the city along the road, and you have to walk to the town, and then maybe you can like chill there for a bit, but they would be like, hey, you got to earn your keep, right? You got to make some money. You just can't live here for free. And then they would send you out to go, do some sort of like quests or gather things or kill stuff. They would want you to do that. And so how long would you be able to survive in that type of situation? And that's what we're going to go through today. So there's a lot of zones for this. I don't know if I'm going to do all of them. I'm definitely going to do like classic TBC and Wrath, and then we'll see where we're at and how it's going. So here we go. Starting with Elwynn Forest Classic. Now, to me, this is an obvious one. This is years. I think you could easily survive in Elwynn Forest for years because the roads are pretty clear, right? It's a newbie area. Obviously there's dangers, but like most of them, if it's only like if you veer off the path, right? So if you just stick to the road and you just walk all the way to Stormwind, like you're good, man. You can just chill in Stormwind. There's plenty of stuff you can do. I mean, you can just live in Stormwind, right? You could be a profession person. You could just be a tailor. You can like be an innkeeper. Like there's plenty of safe professions for you to do. So I think Elwynn Forest is definitely years. Now, Westfall. This is when we start getting a bit trickier, right? So there's a lot more dangers in Westfall. You have, the vultures and the various boars and animals just roaming around. You have the harvest watchers on the farm. You have like dust devils. You have the Defias pillagers and the whole Defias clan or group or whatever they're called. So I definitely don't think it's going to be years. And I don't even know if it would be months. Because I think there's just a lot of stuff that can kill you in Westfall. And I think even if you're on the road, it's not too bad. But like after you made it to like Sentinel Hill and you got set up and then they're like, all right, go do some stuff. And you had to go out. I'd say you could do like a few weeks to maybe months if you're like an experienced, like in real life, if you're like a hunter, or like you're like a survival person, like maybe you could do months, but I think most people, I'd say like a few weeks. Yeah, I'd say a few weeks. Red Ridge, I would actually put it months because I think if you just chill in Lakeshire, I think you could probably be fine. Now, here's the thing. Lakeshire gets raided by, like, orcs, like, it gets attacked. You might wander off and get hit by one of those whelps, whenever you're, like, just wandering out and about, and then some whelp is like, blah! Right? Maybe you even just try to get to Lakeshire and you get hit by a whelp and you die. So, I mean, you could very well last less than an hour, right? Because you would have to, like, make it there. It's possible you died, but I would say once you got to Lakeshire, you'd probably be okay. Again, it's not the safest city. It's near some dangerous stuff, but I think you could probably make it a few months there. Some people would probably be able to live years there. Some people less. Like, I think it's all over the place, but I'd say months is a solid one for this one. Duskwood. I'm going to say a few days for Duskwood. Like, I think Duskwood is... like you have Stitches attacking the town already, right? Like your town is going to get attacked. if you're there, it's just you're screwed. Even just being on the road, like you can get attacked on the road. You might not even last a few days. This is like assuming you can actually make it to like a town and just like, you know, stay there for a bit. But like, yeah, I wouldn't even say weeks. I'd say it's just a few days, if not less. So I might even be a little generous with this few days in Duskwood, but that's what I'm gonna say. Stranglethorn. I'm just gonna say less than 24 hours. And because I mean, imagine you're dropped in and you have to walk to like Booty Bay. You could easily die on the way to Booty Bay, right? But I think even if you make it to Booty Bay, like you're not even safe there. Like the goblins are kind of corrupt. They might be like, hey, keep it moving. Like someone might attack Booty Bay. You might get in the middle of some PvP battle, right? There's so much shit going on in not only Booty Bay, but just Stranglethorn in general. There's pirates, there's crazy animals, there's so much stuff that can kill you, on top of just players, other people that would kill you. So I'm less than 24 hours. Dunmorrow, that's a year's. I mean, the roads again are pretty safe. You know, it'll be cold, but you know, you can stop in Keranos, have a beer, right? On your way to the Iron Forge, on the way to the Iron Forge. And once you're in Iron Forge, like it's pretty safe. You're in a mountain, you know, great environment. You could do some stuff in there. Like you'll be fine. There's some risks, you know, some gnome might be making some engineering thing and it like crashes into you or falls on you. You know, maybe you trip and fall into the big thing of molten lava or whatever that's in there. But like for the most part, you could live for years in Dunmorrow. Loch Modan. Now that's a trickier one, but I'd say a few weeks. I don't know about months because there's what's the town? Thelsmar. And that's kind of like a, you know, kind of like a hobbity town, right? Like you got like houses in the mountains and you're just kind of chilling in that little area. And that's a nice little area, but maybe if you worked in that town, you would be safe, which is why I say maybe like a few weeks, maybe months. But there's giant spiders, there's trogs, there's so much stuff out there, man. And I feel like at some point you're going to have to like go out there to do something and you're just going to get picked off by a spider, right? Yeah, I think a few weeks is a pretty good one. Wetlands? I think a few days. Maybe less. Maybe even less than 24 hours. This is a tricky one because I do think you could probably survive a bit if you made it to the actual the town in Wetlands. What's it called? I wanted to say Theramore, but that's Dustwallow Marsh, right? What is the Alliance Town Wetlands? What is it called? Oh, here we go. Menethil Harbor. Oh my god, I don't know why I couldn't remember that. If you make it to Menethil Harbor, but even if you do, like it's flooded. Well, now it's flooded. I guess this would be classic. You know, there's still like a bunch of swampland around. There's like alligators just lurking out there. You might just get eaten by an alligator along the way, right? So I'm gonna say less than 24 hours because it's possible you could make it a few days. I don't even know if you'd make it a few weeks with all the crazy shit around, or less than 24 hours. So I'll just go right in the middle on that one and say less than 24 hours. I think making it to Menethil Harbor would just, you'd die along the way. I couldn't, I don't think I could do that. Badlands? I think that's less than an hour. I think if you're in the Badlands, you're cooked. Like, there's not even really many safe roads in the Badlands. So I think you would just get dropped, like, just in some spot, and you're cooked, man. I can't see anyone surviving very long in the Badlands. They're called the Badlands for a reason. They're not called the Good Lands. Sorry. Searing Gorge. Searing Gorge, that's another tricky one. Because if you can make it to that little like dwarf encampment in the north, I think you'd be okay for a little bit. But there's like, and then there's a lot of stuff though that can get you. I'm gonna say less than 24 hours. I don't even know if they'd want you to stay there. There's not many places to stay. They'd be like, get out of here and kick you out. Yeah, I'm gonna say less than 24 hours. Burning Steps, I'd say that's less than an hour. I think you're dying in the Burning Steps. There's like even walking on the road in the Burning Steps is pretty dangerous. So I'm gonna say less than 24 hours. Teldrassil, I mean Darnassus, that's got to be years, right? I feel like most of the major city ones got to be years. There's gonna be somebody like Sylvanas burned the tree down. Yeah, but that's like that's also years later, right? So you'd still survive years before the tree got burned down, you know? So yeah, I'd say it's pretty chill there. Like sure, in Teldrassil there's like bears and spiders and all your standard stuff, but if you stick to the road, for the most part, I think you'll be pretty good and you'd be safe in Darnassus. I'd say, yeah, that's years. Dark Shore. Dark Shore, I'd say a few days. Because, like, I feel like you're safe in the little coastal town, but even getting there, like, there's some dangerous stuff. You got murlocs, you got, even just, like, the creepy forest. You might get lost in the woods. Right, you'd be like, oh, where am I? Like, and even on the path, there's like furbolgs, there's like rabid bears and shit. Like, you don't, I don't know, man, disease stuff. Like, I think a few days. I think that's fair. Ashenvale. Ashenvale's another one where I could see if you were able to make it to the town, I would say a few weeks. But there's also just a lot of stuff in Ashenvale. Like, even whether you're Horde or Alliance or whatever, like, they're going to be looking out for, I don't know the rules, I guess. I didn't really make rules between, like, Horde and Alliance. We'll just assume you could, like, go to either one. But they'd also probably both be skeptical of you a little bit as well, right? Well, I say that, but, like, humans are Alliance, so maybe you would just be considered human. I guess that'd make more sense. But I also want to talk about, like, Horde stuff. Whatever, okay? This is my list. I'm going to say, because there's like stealthy night elves and stuff, right? Like they could snipe you out on the road. There's like elementals. There's some weird, like there's crazy animals like spiders and things like that. I do think if you made it to a town, you could get a few weeks in there though. Whether it be Splinter Tree Outpost or the Alliance one. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say a few weeks. Azshara. Now this is a tricky one because you would think maybe you could survive there because there's like it's very open, but at the same time there's a lot of dangerous stuff. You have the Naga in the middle, you have the spirits and the ghost in the southwest, you have like a bunch of furbolgs and things in the north. There's really no safe area for you, right? Like there's no town to live at. Like, honestly, I'd say less than 24 hours. Maybe a few days if you know what you're doing. Like, if you're a survival person, I'd say maybe a few days. But, like, I'd say for a normal person that doesn't know what they're doing, probably less than 24 hours. Like, just the fact that there's no town there, I think is really not good. You're going to wander somewhere and get killed. Yeah. Fellwood. Fellwood's pretty close on the... I would say less than 24 hours in Fellwood. I think you could just keep... I don't think you would die in less than an hour. I think you could wander around a bit and be okay, but it would maybe... A few hours in, you're probably going to get killed by a demon or a weird bear or like a... something, man. Like, there's so much shit that can kill you in there. And, like... there's really no, like, main town to stay at either. Yeah, I'd say less than 24 hours. Moonglade, that's a year's. You could live forever in Moonglade. As long as you don't, like, fall in the water. Even then, they probably save you. There's that dog that shows up for the Lunar New Year or whatever. That might kill you, but, like... There's always going to be something, but that I'd say Moonglade is pretty safe, comparatively. Winter Spring. Winter Spring, I'd say a few weeks. I think Everlook is like it's kind of safe, but not really. It's also a goblin town, so like there's always weird shit that can happen around the goblins, right? They're always doing like weird explosive stuff and using like engineering things. They're just like, right? And I'd say it's also really cold. And so even if you weren't able to make it to Everlook, you would just have to like camp somewhere. There's like so many dangerous things you'd have to get. Like the road is also patrolled by those furbolgs. Like they have the furbolgs running up and down the road with the Winterfall firewater or whatever it is, right? So you might just get sniped off by one of those trying to get to Everlook. Actually, yeah, you know what? Maybe I think I'm gonna move it down to a few days because I think it's possible you just die right when you get there on the road. But if you make it to Everlook, you could probably last a few weeks. So I'd say a few days is a good in between there. Especially because it's cold, you know, it's hard with all the snow and the environment, and there's so many things. Yeah, I'd say a few days just to, you know, get a little bit of an average there. Duratar. Let's just say that you're welcome in Orgrimmar, all right? You're a human, but they welcome you into Orgrimmar. I don't know if it'd be years. I'd say months. Because I feel like Orgrimmar is just kind of... It's like, it's a city, but it's a little more chaotic, right? Like, I feel like someone would have, like, their wolf mount, and you'd be walking, and the wolf would just be like, ugh, and just, like, run and attack you, and it'd be like, oh, sorry, man, my wolf just hates humans. Right? Like, some shit like that would happen. Or, like, I don't know, like some orc would just get really mad and just start being like, bleh, and he'd like throw his axe and it would just like cut your head off and he'd be like, oh, whoops. Right? Like, I don't think you're as safe here. It's just, there's a lot of like chaos going on. So I think you could survive months. Plus the actual zone itself is kind of a little dangerous. There's scorpions, there's some hyenas and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna say a few months. I don't think it'd be years. The Barrens... The Barrens is tricky because it's one of those things where I feel like if you made it to the crossroads, you could probably survive for a little bit. But the roads, I mean, there's plenty of stuff that'll kill you in the Barrens. I'm gonna say a few days. I think if you made it to the crossroads and just chilled there for a bit, you'd be okay for a few days, but they'd want you to like go hunting. They'd want you to, or, you know, get some resources, gather something. And I think you'd get picked off. It's possible you last a few weeks. Maybe even a few months if you're like, you're really loving it there. But it's possible you're dead in less than an hour as well. So I'd say a few days is good here. Mulgore. Mulgore, I'm going to also put in the months category because it's obviously a little bit more of a dangerous city. Like, Mulgore is beautiful. I love Mulgore, but again, imagine you're like going up that elevator, right? Plenty of people fall off the elevator. Maybe you just kind of wobble a bit. Maybe you're just walking around on Thunderbluff and the ground's a little uneven. You just like fall off, you know, like it's kind of dangerous. It's very dangerous actually. And there'd definitely be people that would fall off of it. So I don't think it'd be years. Although if you're a really safe person, you could probably be there for years. But I'm just going to say months because I know there's definitely people who'd fall off. Plus, getting the Mulgore, or getting the Thunderbluff, there's also like mountain lions and other stuff like that. So those could get you as well. So it's definitely not as safe as the years. But, you know, if you can get to Thunderbluff, you'd probably chill there for a while. Dustwallow Marsh. This one's less than an hour. That's easiest one on the list. Well, one of the easiest one. I mean, even in hardcore WoW, I remember going into Dustwallow Marsh. That shit was like, it's like, here we go. Hopefully no stealth. They have stealth spiders, man. Like, even if you're like the proper level for there, like there's stealth spiders. You could just be walking and a stealth spider just hits you. Plus, like the towns aren't even that safe. I guess there's like Theramore, but getting to Theramore would be absolutely terrible. You'd be dead. There's I couldn't even see myself getting to Theramore. And then I don't think anyone would want to go to the ogre town where there's like that corrupt ogre general or whatever it is. Like, you're dead. Stone Talon Mountains. Obviously, there's that video everyone knows about with Stone Talon. I mean, if you could get to like a few of the, like the Horde or the Alliance town, you could probably go for a few days, but there are a lot of things that'll kill you in Stone Talon as well. Part of me wants to say less than 24 hours, but I think a few days is fair. I think you could probably last a few days in Stone Talon if you made it to the towns. So yeah, I'd say that's a safe bet. Desolus. Desolus is tricky because I think if you made it to Shadowprey Village or you made it to the Alliance place, it's kind of like Stone Talon a bit. Like, I think you could survive there for a while. They'd let you like rest there, maybe even a few weeks. But getting there would just... There's centaurs, there's hyenas, there's some crazy shit out there, man. It's like like the vultures, and they're just kind of roaming all over the place. I think I'd put it less than 24 hours. I don't know if you would die instantaneously. I think there is a chance you make it to the town and you're good for a while, but there's also a chance you're just sniped off. So I'm going to say less than 24. Feralus? Honestly, I think Feralus is a few weeks. Call me crazy, because I know there's a lot of dangers in Feralus, right? It's a jungle forest. But if you can make it to like the Alliance, was it Silvermoon Stronghold? Or not Silvermoon Stronghold, is it? Whatever, or Feathermoon Stronghold, that's what it is. If you can make it there, or you can make it to Camp Mojachi, or whatever it might be, I think you could last a few weeks. Maybe a few days. It might be a few days. I might just be having some wishful thinking. It's somewhere in between. I'm like, no, I think I should put it in the few days. Yeah, I think I'm just wishful thinking it because I like Feralus, but it is a dangerous jungle forest, and yeah, it's probably a few days. But then again, is it any more dangerous than Ashenvale? You know? It probably is. Okay, 1,000 Needles. I think this is less than an hour. You're probably cooked in the 1,000 Needles, man. Like, even just stepping foot in the 1,000 Needles, there's so much shit roaming around. You could have one of the rocks fall on you. Even making it to like the Taran little place, or you know, wherever it is like, you're probably gonna die a lot. There's so many places that you could die in 1,000 Needles. I think you're cooked. Tanaris. I guess there's no real roads in Tanaris. You'd probably be dropped somewhere near in the desert. I think you'd be dead. There's so many mobs out there. Scorpions. You know, just there's a whole bunch of shit that could kill you. And you would have to make it to Gadgetson. And even then, like I mentioned before, the Goblin cities are probably the most chaotic ones. That's like the least safe city I think I'd feel. I think I'd rather be in Orgrimmar than like one of these Goblin towns where they're just like, hey, welcome to Goblin Town. Like, you know, they're corrupt. You know, there's like some shady shit going on. There's fighting all the time. They got, yeah, I don't know. I think you're dead. Maybe you could make it less than 24 hours or a few days in Tanaris if you're lucky, but I think you're dead. Ungoro, that's another one. I think wherever you go in Ungoro, you're dead. Even if you make it to the town. Like, think of how many times you've been in the Ungoro little, is it Nigel's Point? Dude, like, sometimes you're just there, and, like, those little flower guys from the quest start attacking you from, like, whatever the quest is. Like, the Mario Luigi one, or I don't even remember. But, like people just die in the town. I've, like, died in the town before. Like, nowhere is safe in there. You're gonna die to a dinosaur. You might step in a tar pit and you're cooked. Like, there's literal dinosaurs just everywhere. You're done. Silithus. That's another one. I think Silithus at least has a road. And so because of that, I'm going to put it on the less than 24 hours. It's very possible, again, that you die instantaneously. But, you know, if you can make it to the Cenarian hold or whatever it is, like, you could probably last a few days or something there, right? Maybe even a few weeks if you're really lucky, but I would say less than 24 hours in Silithus. Tirisfal Glades is an interesting one. Because, like, there's definitely a lot of stuff out and about, but I think you'd be safe on the roads. There's definitely some bats and, like, weird demon dogs on the road, right? And I don't know how friendly the Forsaken would be. Right? If you try to get to Brill, would they just be like, ugh, humans? Right? They might just not like you there. You know what? I'm going to say less than 24 hours. Because maybe if you're lucky, I'd say a few days. And if you're unlucky, you're dead in less than an hour. So I'd say a good middle ground is less than 24 hours here. Silver Pine, I'd probably say the same thing. Because there's like the Worgen that patrols the road. You know, there's Murlocs, there's random animals and stuff, and then it's just, yeah, I'd say it's kind of the same as Tirisfal. Alterac Mountains. That's a weird one, because like there's the ogres in the Alterac Mountains, right? But there's mountain lions. I'd say less than 24 hours. Maybe a few. That's another one where it's a few days if you're lucky. Probably less than an hour if you're not. There's no real city or town there, right? So I'd say you're probably dead in less than 24 hours in the Alterac Mountains. Hillsbrad Foothills, however. I think Hillsbrad is probably a few weeks. Because whether you go to like Tarn Mill or you go to South Shore, I think you're pretty safe there. I think you get to each one pretty easily following the road. There's always possibilities of a bear or a spider, right? But I think you get to them pretty easily. I think you'd be all right there for a while. I think something would get you eventually, but I think you'd be safe for a while. So I'm going to say a few weeks. Arathi Highlands, however, that one I'm going to say a few days. I think the towns there are a little too small. You probably wouldn't be staying there very long. You'd have to go out, and there's just a bunch of stuff out in the Highlands, like raptors and trolls and spider. There's a lot of spiders. But yeah, I can't see more than a few days with that. Yeah. Hinterlands. I love the Hinterlands, but it's because, okay, well, here's the thing. The Hinterlands is another one where if you can make it to the town, if you can make it to that Alliance town up in the mountains, or the Shadow Prey Village, or not Shadow Prey Village, that's Desolus. Or maybe it is. Whatever the troll town on the coast for the Horde is, you'd probably be safe there for like a few weeks, I would say. But making it there is crazy. You have stealth wolves, you have owl beasts, you have like so much shit like in your way. There's slimes and stuff. Like, I'm gonna say less than 24 hours, but it's possible. It's like you're dead in less than an hour. But I would say if you make it to the town, then it's, you know, you're gonna be up there. So I'd say less than 24 hours. Western Plaguelands. I mean, it's in the bottom too, but I'd say less than an hour. Like, there's so much scourge activity. There's diseased animals that are like rabid. There's the scarlet people there doing all their weird shit. So like, I think you're cooked there. I think if you're lucky, it's less than 24 hours, I think. There's really like nowhere to set up camp or like chill out. Or it's like, if there are, it's like the place in the south, with like wherever, whatever the like little alliance thing. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be that long. I think you're dead. Eastern Plaguelands, I actually think you could last a few days, which is kind of weird because there's so much shit that will kill you in the Eastern Plaguelands. But I think if you make it to the Light's Hope Chapel, like, I think you're gonna be okay for a bit. Like, you could probably stay there for a while. They'd let you stay there. You know, maybe I'd say a few weeks max, but I'd say a few days is more realistic. Yeah. Deadwind Pass. That's probably a less than 24 hours. I think it's possible you die within the hour, but there's really nowhere to stay, right? You'd have to, it's just like you're cooked if you're in Deadwind Pass. Like, it's not good. It's just a matter of like how long is it gonna take if you're just there. I don't know if you'd be able to leave. You wouldn't be able to leave there. This is just like you had to survive in that zone. How long would you survive? And I'd say it's less than 24 hours. Swamp of Sorrows. This is one where, again, if you could make it to like Stonard, I'd say maybe it's a few days. But you're probably going to die on the way there. Like, there's so many things that'll kill you in the swamp, which makes me want to put it in 24 hours. Less than 24. Yeah, you know what? I think it's less than 24 hours. But if you could make it there, you could. I think you can go to a few days. But it's possible less than an hour. Yeah, that's the right place for it. Blasted Lands, I think you're just dead. I think you're just dead in the Blasted Lands. Like, there's shit all over the place. There's weird, there's all these animals and crazy things and demons and like, even just the environment could probably kill you in the Blasted Lands, to be honest. So, Azuremist Isle, honestly, I'd say years, because that's where the Exodar is. And I think it's not too dangerous. And so I think if you made it to the Exodar, you'd be fine. Like, they would just be like, welcome. And like, you could just hang out there. Probably be kind of boring, but like, I think you'd be all right. And I think the Azuremist Isle in general, there's nothing like too bad there. But I haven't really quested there that much. There's probably like some crazy shit. Someone's gonna be like, Crendor, there's like the death warrior there. Like, I don't know. Bloodmist Isle, that's probably gonna be... That's definitely going to be less. I don't really know that much about Bloodmist Isle, to be honest. I'll say a few days. There's probably some safe spots you could like camp out and just chill at, but something would probably get you eventually. I'd say a few days. Eversong Woods. I guess this would be classic Eversong Woods, not current one. I would probably say that's got to be months or years as well. I'm just going to say years because you could probably just chill in Silver Moon, and it's pretty easy to get there. So yeah, I'd say years for that one. Ghostlands. That one is probably less than 24 hours. Maybe even less than an hour. No, I think you're fine traveling the road. I'd say less than 24 hours, though. It's kind of like Duskwood, but... You know, I guess I put Duskwood in a few days. All right, you know what? I'll put it in a few days. This is a very professional top tier list, let me tell you right now. Very structurally sound. All right, so now we have Hellfire Peninsula. This is an interesting one because I think you could be safe if you make it to these towns, and I think you can get there decently easily. But there's still so much. I'd say a few days. I actually think it's better than some of these. And that might be, maybe that's a little too optimistic, but I genuinely think you would have the ability to like make it to one of the main towns and be there for a little bit. Because I think the roads aren't too bad. Although there are like orcs and shit on the road and everything. I guess it depends on like the road you're on. Hold on. Hellfire Peninsula map. Let me see. Well, all right. You know what? Now that I'm looking at the map again, there's also Fell Reavers. Okay, you know what? That it's probably in less than an hour. I like how my brain was just like, yeah, you can make a few days. And then from looking at the map, I'm like, all right, no, you're dead. It's over. Yeah, you're cooked. All right. Zangermarsh. That's, as much as I love Zangermarsh, I kind of mentioned this in my previous one. Like, you're probably going to be breathing in like spores, like toxic spores and shit. There's like those weird poisonous stinger things. Like there's a lot of like poisonous things in this swamp, or marsh, if you will. But I do think you'd make it less than 24 hours. I do think you could make it for at least 24 hours there, right? Or maybe a little less. If you're lucky, I think you get a few days there. If you're unlucky, you're less than an hour. So I'd say, yeah, it's a less than 24. Nagrand. I think Nagrand is actually... I think it's a few weeks. Because I think the roads are pretty safe. There's different parts where there's not like completely safe roads. But for the most part, I think they're definitely safer than some of these other places. And I would say... once you make it to like the Horde or Alliance town, like they're decently safe towns, like not Hala. That's probably the place you don't want to go, but you know, one of the Horde Alliance towns, whichever. I think you'd be all right there for a while, like at least a few weeks, and then, you know, after that you probably die like an ogre, or just some weird shit that happens, or, you know, one of the monsters or animals out in the wild. But I think a few weeks would make sense. Terakar Forest, I'd say less than an hour. There, like the Dread Waste you would die like so fast. And then actual Terakar Forest, like there's the weird like warp stalkers, and there's wolves. They're like stealth warp stalkers. Like maybe there's some areas where, I guess if you got the Shatrath, you'd be all right. But even like getting the Shatrath is kind of risky, and I feel like Shatrath isn't the safest town. Okay, you know what? Maybe not less than that. I'm gonna put it in the less than 24 hours. Because again, I think it's possible you die right away, but I could see if you make it to Shatrath, you could last a while. Well, now that I say that too, I'm like, well, what if that could also be a few days, right? You know what? I'm gonna put it at the few because it's right in the middle. Like, I'm sure if you made it to Shatrath, it's possible you get like a few weeks, months, probably even some people years. But at the same time, you could die on the way to Shatrath in like less than an hour. You could die, you know, to something else. Like, I'm gonna just put it in the middle. I think a few days is a good spot for it. Blade's Edge, I'd say less than 24 hours. I feel like unless you got really lucky with like where you spawned on the road or something, like maybe you can make it one of the towns like the Alliance one and be safe there for a bit. But I think there's a lot of stuff, like ogres will kill you there. There's that troll with his head like buried in the sand. They'd probably bury you in the sand too. They like stole his hookah or whatever. I forgot what the quest was. It was something like that. Yeah, I think you'd get your head buried in the sand. Or your body, and then your head sticking out, and then all the ogres would just laugh at you. Some shit like that would happen. Netherstorm, I'd say less than an hour. Like, it's already irradiated. Like, there's radiation everywhere. They're wearing, like, helmets and stuff. Like, there's so much shit going on in Netherstorm. I think you would just die. I can't see surviving there very long. Kind of the same with Shadowmoon Valley. I think... Yeah, I think you're just dead. Well, I mean, maybe less than 24 hours in Shadowmoon Valley, depending. But also, nah, well, no, you know what? I think the air is probably pretty toxic there too, with like the fell volcano or whatever the shit. I don't know. You're probably just dead. All right, let's see. We have. What do we got next? They like throw some random shit on here. I'm not gonna do some of these. Borean Tundra. I'm gonna... You know what? I'm gonna say a few weeks, because I think if you could make it to the Tuskar area, I think you could last for a few weeks, maybe even a few months with the Tuskar. The problem, I think, would be getting there. Plus, like, the Tuskar are getting attacked on that one side. So that wouldn't even be good. And I guess even the Horde Alliance... okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to say a few days. I think I'm going to drop it down to a few days. But I think I'm going to put Howling Fjord at a few weeks. That's the one that I think is safer, because they're on, like, their own little Tuskar island. It's hard to get there. Like, there is some shit there that could kill you, but I think you'd be safe for a while. And there's, like, some other parts of Howling Fjord I think you'd be safe at as well. So I'm going to put that at a few weeks. Then Borean Tundra, I think, is one under that. Dragon Blight, I think that's less than 24 hours. I don't know if you die right away. You could. But it's cold. It's snowy. There's, like, the Forsaken and wars and shit going on. There's animals roaming around. I think you're going to die there. Grizzly Hills, I would put that in a few days, because there's definitely some people that could survive maybe for like a few weeks in the Grizzly Hills if they're, like I said before, like good at hunting, or camping or survival, that type of stuff. But then other people would die easily in less than 24 hours or even an hour. So yeah, I'll put it a few days. Zuldrak. Hold on, let me pull up the Zuldrak map. Because I don't think you're lasting very long in Zuldrak. There's like that one main road area, but even then, there's weird Forsaken like trolls and demons and crazy shit all over. Even the town is kind of like, this is crazy, right? Like even the town's there. So I'd say less than 24 hours. Yeah. Sholazar Basin. I think, honestly, I'd say less than an hour. I think if you're dropped in the Sholazar, the only way you're going to survive is like get lucky and find Hemet Nessingwary's camp. And even then, you'll probably die not long after. Like, I don't know. I don't think Sholazar, you're going to last very long. Crystal Song Forest does have Dalaran. So it's not, you'd probably get some weird like Crystal Song magical radiation, right? But if you make it to Dalaran, you're going to last for a while because you can like, just chill in Dalaran. Like obviously it's going to crash at some point. I'm going to put it in the months. I don't know if I want to put it in years, but I'll put it in months. I think it's good there. Storm Peaks, I think you're just dead. It's snowy. There's like landmines with goblins and crazy shit happening down by the K52 or whatever it's called. I don't remember. There's just a bunch of mountains and dragons flying all over. I think you're just dead. Ice Crown, I think you're dead in Ice Crown as well, unless you can manage to like find the Alliance or the Horde and be like, help me, and then they'd be like, they'd probably give you like a day or two and be like, all right, get out of here or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that's not good. Winter Grasp, I'm gonna put it less than 24 hours because you could probably win the Battle of Winter Grasp, chill at Winter Grasp, and then you would have to like like go fight in the Winter Grasp War. You're probably gonna die in that. So yeah, I don't think you're living very long there. We have Kazan here. I'm gonna say a few. You know what? I'll put Kazan in the months. Even though it's a crazy goblin town and there's like a bunch of stuff going on, I still think you could probably last a while there, right? And then I think something would get you. The pollution, someone would run you over. Like something's gonna happen. But I think you could survive for a little bit in Kazan. The volcano would probably erupt. One of those things would happen. Let's see here. We have Dark Moon Island. I mean, there's some crazy shit happening on Dark Moon Island. I'm gonna say less than 24 hours. Again, there's so much weird shit on Dark Moon Island. You're gonna get like sacrificed for some old god or something there. I don't know. You'll become one of the carnival workers, I think, trapped there. Yeah. We have the, let's see, Shimmering Expanse, which I'm just going to use this as all of Vazjir. It's all kind of the same. I think you're dead in less than an hour. Yeah, I think I'm running out of room now. I think you're just dead in less than an hour. You're underwater. There's like so much dangerous stuff swimming around. I think you're cooked. Let's see. I'm gonna skip some of these other ones they randomly throw in, like Hrogthar's Landing. Like you're dead at the Hrogthar's Landing, man. Mount Hyjal. I'll put that in a few days. I think Mount Hyjal's definitely a few days. I don't think there's anything too crazy on the road. There's some things, but I think you're fine. And then if you make it to one of the main places, you'd be all right for a bit. But there's definitely, there's a lot of stuff that'll kill you still. Deep Home. Deep Home's weird because there's no real roads in Deep Home. You're just kind of randomly around. You know what? I'd say you're just dead. I think you're just dead if you're in deep home. Uldum. Uldum's probably similar to like Tanaris. I think you're just dead in Uldum as well. Maybe. I guess if you made it to that one like safe spot, you know what? I'll put it in less than 24 hours. I think it's somewhat safer than Tanaris, but not by much. Twilight Highlands. That's probably another 24 hours. There's so much shit happening in Twilight Highlands. Like, it's a great zone. It looks great. There's some nice spots, some nice little towns, but like for the most part, I think you're just gonna die. Like on your way to one of these places, or you know, there's like all the dragon stuff happening, all these battles and wars. There's a lot, the corruption of the Twilight. There's a lot. Jade Forest. You know what I'd say? Actually, I think I want to say days or weeks. I think weeks. I think a few weeks makes sense for the Jade Forest. I don't think there's anything too crazy on the roads that I'm trying to think, and I don't think there is. Like, I'm sure there's something. There's dangerous spots, but honestly, I think a few weeks would make sense. The Krasarong Wilds, I'm more likely to say a few days. there's really, I guess there's like some of the little fishing towns you can go to, right? And you could probably stay there a little bit, but yeah, I can't see more than a few weeks, and I could definitely see dying less than 24 hours. There's some dangerous stuff all around there. So yeah, I'll say a few days. We have Valley of the Four Winds. Now this one, I'm gonna say months. I think if you get to Half Hill, and I don't think there's many crazy things on the road, and you just get to Half Hill, I think you can last there for a while. I think you'd be good. Some people, maybe even years, could be at Valley of the Four Winds. So you work at the brewery, maybe you know you're helping with farming and stuff like that. And sure, you can get killed by something like the hopping rats or whatever they are. But I think you'd be all right. Let's see, Kunlai Summit. I'm gonna say a few days. Maybe if you made it to the Grummels and got some lucky dues, you would be okay for a bit, but they'd probably take you mountain climbing and you'd fall off or die, something get you, or you would just die like on the way to the Grummels. So yeah, I don't know. Townlong Steps. I'm gonna say less than 24 hours for that one. I don't really know why. I feel like it's less than 24 hours. There's no real safe place there. Dread Waste is another one. In fact, I think you're just dead in the Dread Waste. There's just like insect men all over. We'll put that down here. Let's see. Shadow Moon Valley, Draenor. Honestly, I'd say if you can make it to Karabor, I'm going to put it at like a few weeks. Because I think if you made it to Karabor, you'd be pretty safe. There's not like a whole lot going on there, but that's kind of the good part. And there's like a lot of friendly Draenei and stuff happening. They're farming, they're doing their thing. Maybe even months. I would say it's possible months, but I mean, there's still some stuff that could kill you out there. But I'm going to put it in the few weeks. Let's see. I mean, we're kind of getting into the... like, some of these I'm like skipping over because they're like redos for Cataclysm and stuff like that. Veil of Eternal Blossoms. Because now we're kind of getting to the ones where it's like the zones, I think, get a little bigger or crazier, right? I'm going to say Veil of Eternal Blossoms is less than 24 hours. Well, if you get to if you could get to those safe spots, I'm going to put it a few days. I think Veil of Eternal Blossoms makes sense at a few days. But I think getting there is actually really tricky. Yeah. And especially because a lot of these start to be like, you have to fly in them. And you know what I mean? Like a lot of these other ones, you can walk in them and stuff. But some of these are like flight only, almost like Storm Peaks and stuff. And it's like, dude, you're dead if you're going to those. So yeah, let's see. Gorgrond, I think you're dead in less than an hour. No doubter. We have Talador. There's not many safe spots in Talador. You know what? I'm going to put that in less than 24 hours. Draenor, Nagrand. That one I'll say a few days. Because I feel like it's not... Honestly, I think it's less safe than Outland Nagrand for some reason. I don't know why. I kind of just get that vibe. I think it's just less safe. Spires of Arak, I'm going to say less than 24 hours. I mean, trees are on fire, buildings... Oh, I'm hiccuping. Buildings are on fire. Like, there's a bunch of crazy shit going on in Spires of Arak, too. I don't think you would last very long there. Goblin towns, obviously. Azuna? I'd say Azuna's... I'd say less than... There's actually not many safe places I can think of in Azuna, right? I mean, there's Dalaran, but that's not in Azuna. I'm going to say less than 24 hours. Yeah. I think Val'sharah is actually a few days. Because I think you can travel around the paths of Val'sharah pretty well. And then there's like a few nice towns. There's the Druid area. They might kick you out if you're not a Druid. But they might be nice enough to let you stay there a little bit, right? High Mountain, I'm going to say less than 24 hours. I think you're cooked in High Mountain. You're gonna someone will like fall off something. There's a lot of stuff that'll kill you, especially if you can't fly in High Mountain. And I'm gonna say the same. I'm gonna say the same for Stormheim. I'll put that at less than 24 hours. I just think there's too many dangers in both of those zones. And then hold on, where's Suramar? Oh, here we go, Suramar. Okay, Suramar, I am gonna put. I guess it depends on if you're going to be friend or foe with the Suramar people or all this stuff. I mean, if you're going to be a friend with them, I'd say a few days. Maybe a few weeks. Like, you could probably chill there and it'd be okay, maybe. You know what? I'm going to put it in a few weeks. I think it'd be all right for a while there. If you could just, like, blend in, you know? Yeah, I think that'd be fine. All right, I think I think that's pretty good for this list. Because, you know, everywhere else is a little bit, like, too crazy. I mean, let me see if there's any others. Oh, I guess I can kind of look at some of these and just see. Like, Zuldazar, I think that's another one where if you made it to actual Dazara lore, I think you'd be okay. But getting there, you're probably dead. You're going to die to something. Nazmir, you're dead. Vol'dun, you're probably dead. Tiragard Sound. Tiragard Sound, if you made it to Borealis, you could probably last, like, months. Maybe some years. Depending. But, like, that's actually a pretty safe one. Drustvar, probably less than 24 hours. Stormsong Valley. Maybe a few days, actually. Maybe even a few weeks. But also, that's a tricky one. I think it could be all over the place. But yeah, there we go. That's got all the main ones I wanted to cover. So, hey, you know what? Let me know if you agree, disagree down in the comments section below. This is actually really fun to do. And let me know if you have any other ideas for these types of tier lists, because I love doing these wacky Crendorified types of tier lists. So thanks for watching. If you want to watch the other one I talked about with the WoW zones I'd visit and avoid in real life, I'll put that up on the screen. Or I also made one about which WoW class would I be in real life. I'll put that up on the screen as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya.